Hello everyone. So why I am installing ZF8 gearbox? My Range Rover a bit broke down. Current gearbox GM5 L40 doesn't have all the gears. Fifth and fourth gear is gone. I was starting to wonder what would be the best way to fix this car. So either repair a current GM gearbox, install ZF6 gearbox, or install ZF8 gearbox. The first option was drop down first because there's no point on fixing this weak GM gearbox because I'm driving in a 3-ton car with 35-inch size tires. So this fix would be temporary and would cost 1,000 euros and more. So why to bother? Okay, second choice ZF6. It would need a new engine from BMW X5. M57 N series engine, or my current engine would need some electronic add-ons to talk to the ZF6 gearbox. So I decided that's a bit too much trouble for too little gain. ZF6 is not that good gearbox. It's very reliable but not perfect. Okay, my first option, install ZF8 gearbox from BMW F series to Range Rover L322 TD6 with BMW M57 engine. I think it's the best option because these ZF8 gearboxes are the best. In the current market of second-hand gearboxes, they take so much abuse, they can put up with a lot of torque and can shift quickly, and they are reliable. The most important part, these are most reliable gearboxes that can fit in this car easily. And to control this gearbox, I decided to install CanTCU controller. Well, because it will make my life so much easier. I will need only to put 12 volts from the car and CAN bus connection from the engine controller, and that's it. Everything else will be controlled by this CanTCU controller, and I will be able to easily set up it all on the computer. So it's time to start repairing my car. Let's go! At first I need to make sure that car starts when the gearbox is replaced, and one of the issues might be this immobilizer EWS module, which collects data from gearbox in which gear it is now. If it's in parking or neutral, it lets the starter to start the engine, and if it's in gear, it doesn't let to turn the starter motor. So what I found in the schemes is that this black wire is responsible for this, and I'm going to show you when it's letting to reach the ground for this starter relay. And we have a short circuit. Now the gear is in park. It's quiet. Neutral, it's already short circuit. And gear, it's quiet. Okay, and now it's clear that I need to short circuit this black wire to this black yellow wire, and I should be able to turn on engine even if a gearbox is in drive. Ta-da! These two wires are shortened, and now it's time to check if car still starts and if this module will be working. Okay, good start. This unlocked, have ignition, and engine's running. So good news, I didn't make it worse. Now let's check what would happen if I'll try to start in drive. Okay, engine stopped, ignition. Very nice, very nice. If these two wires are connected, I can start the engine independently in which gear is gearbox. Moving on. Welcome to the hole. Today's job is to remove this original wonderful GM gearbox. This gearbox was used in first generation X5s in BMW 5 E39 with 3-liter diesel engines, so someone should know how bad are these gearboxes. So today's job is to remove it and to check it. How could I install something better instead of this bad gearbox? Let's go! First things first, I remove a drive shaft so nothing gets in the way when pulling the gearbox out. I start with the front drive shaft because that one has to come out completely. The rear one is much easier. You just unbolt it and hang it up somewhere so it doesn't get in the way. Access to it is way better. With the drive shafts out of the way, I can loosen the transfer case from its mount and unbolt the whole gearbox support from the chassis rails. After that, the engine with both gearboxes hangs out only on the engine mounts. Now I can reach the connectors on the gearbox and the transfer case more easily and pull all the wiring out. I decided to remove the transfer case and then gearbox one by one. The NB255 transfer case is out. I drain the oil from the gearbox just to make everything a bit lighter and cleaner. And then I start unbolting the GM5L40. I disconnect the shifter cable, all the wiring and the cooler lines. Okay, fun part is over. Now it's time to unbolt this gearbox from flywheel. Torque converter from flywheel. We can see flywheel from this hole, and now I need to find bolts. So I'll need to turn the engine till the bolts are visible in this window. For this task I bought this tool. It lets you turn the engine and you just need to wait and see for the bolts. So let's go. The GM torque converter is held on with only 3 bolts, so that part didn't take long at all. Finally, I can undo the gearbox bolts and get rid of the old unit. Okay, gearbox is about to fall out, or I will remove it gracefully. I don't know. Let's hope it don't crash my head. The GM5L40 weighs about 80 kilograms, so it's better not to rush. Just slowly separate it from the engine and let it drop down with control. Okay, gearbox looks like it's completely loose and it's going down slowly. Nice. A proper workspace and a gearbox jack would definitely help here. Ne pats geriausias išėmimas dėžės, bet... O ką dabar padarysi? Patraukti tą. Gearbox is finally out. Now it's time to disassemble gear lever. Remove this gear lever, remove all these panels and figure out how to install new gear lever. What is nice that it's already unscrewed because already removed EVS model. So it might be a problem. It needs to be in neutral position. There are 4 bolts. I'm gonna need a screwdriver to remove parking brake. A bit too much. I broke it. Nah. Yeah, boy. And it's out. Whew. That was stressful.
The old shifter assembly is a huge and complicated piece, and removing it means taking out a bunch of bolts and disconnecting a couple of cables.
Okay, where's one wire which sends signal to the lock, but it's in the parking, and it lets to release the key. I hope when I disassemble it, it will stay in this position that it thinks gearbox is in parking, and I'll be able to release the key. Oh my god, look at this technology. So much stuff is going on here. It looks amazing. Flywheel time. Ot it all. A little bit bent, but luckily for me, I won't need it anymore. Such a small engine. Okay, I have a small issue with a flywheel from BMW N57 engine. On the older engine, M57, there is one hole a bit bigger on the flywheel in compare of the newer flywheel. So I'll need to port and make a bit bigger one of the flywheel bolt holes, and it should fit fine. And here are my flywheels. On the top I have old one, and on the bottom is from BMW N57. As you can see, or might not see, all the holes for the bolts are identical size. But on the old flywheel, this hole is, one hole is a bit bigger and taller. So I'm gonna need to make this hole a bit taller and wider. For start, I'll try to drill with 14 millimeters, and then I'll see what else needs to be done. Okay, it's time to fit new flywheel. This is the old one, which is way smaller and definitely doesn't fit to the new gearbox because it has 6 bolts. And now, new flywheel. This hole was enlarged with 14 millimeters drill, then 15 millimeters drill, and then a bit grinding to make it smoother. Now it fits. Wrong side. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, now what is left to install adapter to fit this starter motor and move on. Okay, now I can finally check if my adapter plate from M57 D30 fits on the engine block. adapter plate is from this engine to ZF8 gearbox. Ta-da! It fits perfectly. Very nice. Even the starter fits very nice. It's the original starter from original engine, just relocated a bit. Even flywheel fits. Okay, everything's fitted perfectly. No more issues. So what's now? Time to install the gearbox. I guess I'll need to ask for some help because it's way too heavy for me alone.
For the first time, I'm fitting the adapter plate from the M57 D1 engine to the ZF8 HP gearbox. Now everything has to be torqued properly, and don't forget thread locker on the flywheel bolts so nothing comes loose while driving. And here we have both of my gearboxes. And the top is GM gearbox from TD6. It's not so good. It has failed in 2 gears and it's slipping and making some strange noises and faults. And on the bottom we have ZF870x gearbox, which is just a bit shorter than the GM, and it's very good news because on this gearbox in the front I will be installing 1.5 centimeter adapter, and in the rear I will be installing 2.5 centimeters adapter. So in the end both gearboxes will be at the same length, which is extra helpful for me because all the bolt holes, all the adapters, all the holders will fit perfectly in the car, and also all the prop shafts will be sitting happy in the same place. No extra movement will be needed. A bit too late I realized that I needed to cut out a hole in the bell housing so the starter, which now mounts on top, would fit. At first we tried cutting it with a plasma cutter, but to finish the shape I had to take out the angle grinder as well. If you're doing this, I'd recommend removing the starter from the car first so you can measure the exact size of the opening. Okay, time to install the gearbox. Starter hole, nice and big, because on the bottom there's no more starter, and the breather. You can't drive without a breather in the deep water. Now it's time to put the ZF8 into the rover. If you can avoid doing this in a pit and instead use profile lifts, do that. I was lucky that Thomas agreed to help me, so we slowly lifted the gearbox up and set it into the mount. What didn't make me happy was that the starter hole was still a tiny bit too small, so we had to remove the gearbox, enlarge the opening and put it back in. What a pain, but in the end all good. The new ZF8 is finally inside and I can bolt up the NV225 transfer case using the second adapter. The second installation went much smoother. Practice makes perfect.
Ai tos dėžės panašios?
Nu.
Jo, žiūri, panašios.
Jo,
Į
tai-
porą varžtų netgi tink idealiai. Ant variklio bloką. Tai tas irgi nice. Dabar svarbiausia yra pataikyti žieduką. Aš nieko nematau, tai viskas nuo tavęs priklauso. A taip, viskas?
Yeah.
The NV225 transfer case went on super easily, but the camera battery didn't survive that long. Okay, finally gearbox is inside the car. It was quite a task because starter didn't fit and I needed to grind even more space here on the top. So we installed the gearbox, found the problem, removed the gearbox, grinded it a bit and then reinstalled the gearbox again. Now it fits.
Okay, so the gearbox is bolted on the engine and transfer case is bolted on the gearbox. And both boxes are bolted to the rover. What is left is two prop shafts, wiring, oil cooler lines, and this oil filter, new oil. I guess I'm only halfway there, so I need to move on. Time to bolt the flywheel to the torque converter. For this I will need to turn the engine. So for engine turning I have this special tool which adds on the engine front, and with it I can turn the engine and look from this hole. Then I'll find a place to put on bolt through the flywheel to the torque converter and bolt it. And this will be needed to do 6 times because new torque converter has twice more bolts. Oh, and this is the old wiring for the gearbox. I guess I forgot to clean it. Okay, first bolt is a bit easier because I still can turn the torque converter with my fingers. So hop, 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 hop. Now it's time to install oil cooler lines. So in the front everything fits because it's on the car. In the back I had to extend the top line 4 centimeters, bottom line 2 centimeters, and also they did not fit into the gearbox. They are a bit too small, so I have this adapter from aluminium from CanTCU. So it's made for 6 HP gearbox lines, but these are identical size, so I just bought it from CanTCU. Okay, now it's time to install it in the car, and I will need to figure out how to attach these lines to the new gearbox, because old holder does not fit. Okay, I had a minor problem with transmission cooler lines because this adapter from ZF8 gearbox to my cooler lines did not fit to the transmission. These were a bit too big, about 0.5 millimeter, and they wouldn't fit. I didn't want to make them fit, so I decided to go for plan B. Okay, I had original cooler lines which are plastic from the gearbox. When I purchased gearbox, seller was kind enough and throw that in. So, and I have this original line. So I took the original line, take it to the shop and asked to make adapter from original cooler lines to the Range Rover cooler lines. So in the front we have BMW, in the back we have older BMW, and in the middle is some kind of adapters. They are a bit longer. I will install them, take a look how much I need to cut, and tighten them. Should be good. Cooler lines are in the car. It took a while to install them back in the position they're supposed to be, but not to worry. Few extra hours. Who counts? Okay, now it's time to install on the gearbox, so I could measure how long these lines needs to be. Okay, this one on the bottom, this one on the top. I need to mark where to cut and install.
In this side we have oil filler, so I need to unbolt it. It was a bit stressful. Old carter is removed now, and everything here is cleaned, drained, no oil, no garbage is here, so it's time to install new one. New one has new gasket, new filter, new everything. Okay, let's go. So now it's time for the oil. ZF Lifeguard Fluid 8. High performance. I don't know about performance, is it high or not, but new oil is always better than old one. So I'll be installing new oil. Really large tool for this, half a liter fits in it. And I will try to inject all the oil till something drops out. Let's go. Okay, time to unbox my new gearbox controller, CanTCU. Came with this box. Inside there are some extra gifts for beer can, I guess. Also stickers for the rover and chocolate, of course. Lovely. Okay, the main part is here in this beautiful black box. Here is CanTCU controller. Let's take it out. Looks awesome. Made from aluminium, so it's a bit durable. Here is the socket for it, and I'll be able to install cables to it. Nice. Also we have stickers, white and black. Not too bad. And just a bit more bonuses. Keychain, USB cable to control CanTCU and set up it. And here is for the wires to connect to this socket. And also inside is few resistors, 120 ohms for CAN bus cables shortcut. In each end for CAN 1 and CAN 2 I'll need to install this 120 ohms resistor. Nice. Everything what is needed for installment is here. Very nice. Okay, now it's time to start the wiring for the gearbox. With the gearbox I got also this cable to make cabling for the new ZF8 gearbox, which will be installed in my Range Rover. I will be using this old cables, and this part is for transfer case. I might utilize these cables for a shifter. With old cables I won't need to purchase this socket. Also I won't need these cables. These are perfectly fine to use. I'll just need to cut these sockets at the end and use it for my Range Rover. Also for a shifter I decided to go for the shifter from Jaguar F-Pace. It should look much nicer in the car, and also it's Jaguar Land Rover, so one might say it will look stock-ish. Bonus points that it had already this socket of a cable. Wiring. What will be needed to connect? So here is CanTCU wiring diagram from their webpage. Here you can find all the information needed, more or less. So power supply will be connected to this one, and power supply I'll connect from the gearbox ECU connector. Also ground will be connected from gearbox ground connection, and this way CanTCU will have 12 volts. And connection to transmission 8HP will be CAN 1 high, CAN 1 low, CAN 2 high low, 12 volts, ignition, and also shifter. With shifter I will have a little problem. My shifter is not from BMW, it's from Jaguar, so it has a bit different pattern. Also very important, CAN bus connection from car engine ECU. It will be connected to the CanTCU, and also this CAN bus will be connected to the gearbox shifter. And shifter, because I decided to go for the Jaguar Land Rover shifter, it has a bit different connection pattern. Here you can find all the information. First cable is ground, second cable CAN high, third CAN low, and you can see that it needs to connect to CAN 3 and high and CAN 3 low. Also bottom is ignition and 12 volts. So sounds easy, more or less. And also very important, wiring diagrams from the engine ECU. So here is my transmission controller, and here you can find that CAN high and CAN low connects to C1835-36 and -37, and that connects to engine control module. So I will take these wires to the transmission and connect it to the CanTCU. Also ground will be also used from these cables, C09932-4, and 12 volts also from these wires, C0932-7. So everything should work, I hope. Okay, I will be needing much less wires, so everything should be easier to install. Now for the wiring. I tear down the old harness so I can adapt it to the Range Rover. It's always best to use factory wiring because OEM looms already have twisted CAN bus pairs inside. CAN wires must stay twisted so the signal doesn't get interference from the nearby power wires. That's why I wouldn't recommend making a whole new harness from scratch. Adapting BMW wiring is way better. Okay, I started cutting wires, and now I need to measure how long wire should go to the gearbox selector. So I pushed it out through the hole to the ground, and let's see how long it has to be with quite a bit bigger reserve. I hook up plus 12 volts and ground by branching off the existing power lines that goes to the ZF8 gearbox. You can borrow existing wire tabs and the whole harness ends up looking as it was done by the factory. Okay, it's time to find out where are the wires that I need to connect to CanTCU and shifter. So it's time to remove old gearbox ECU and look for the wires that I need. BMW, Siemens and Land Rover. Managed to trace the cables which I need to power CanTCU. So in this connector there are two wires, red, yellow and brown, which is number 7 and number 4. This is 12 volts positive and 12 volts negative. And in this connector wires number 36 and 37, yellow black and yellow brown, which are CAN bus high and CAN bus low. And that's it. That's all I need from these wires to power up CAN bus, my gearbox and shifter, and to make it all work. I disassembled perfectly working gearbox ECU.
Te patikrinti, kaip sekas tau.
Sunkiai. Ta-da! Okay, that's it. My connector is removed from not so much working gearbox ECU. Now I'm gonna borrow 4 pins and that should be it. Perfect. I remove all the unnecessary connectors from the old gearbox controller. In the end, only 4 are needed. It's crazy how little the CanTCU needs to actually work. Now I just twist my wires onto the connectors and solder them in. Hopefully they hold. For CAN 1 and CAN 2 wires going to the ZF8, you need to add 120 ohm resistors for a proper termination. I just solder the resistors directly to the wires and later I'll connect them into the CAN 1 and CAN 2 lines. I solder all wire joints so I don't have to chase bad connectors later. Now I can crimp the terminals for the CanTCU connector. And yes, the crimping pliers are also from the Lidl. Okay, now it's time to add CAN bus breakers, resistors of 120 ohms. Here are these breakers and these are CAN 1 and CAN 2 cables. All these connectors will be going to CanTCU controller. C4. Ne tik lengva. Įdėti. 3 wires are in. Moving on. A2, A3. CAN 1 high. Žalias rudas. Nice. Okay, all the connectors are in their place and installed. So nice. Ta-da! It was a bit hard, so pro tip, don't add extra connectors near this one. Doesn't help, really doesn't help. Okay, I'm finally done with my wiring. Here is my gearbox,
harness which goes to these two Deutsch connectors, and these connectors will connect here. I will need to push this cable through the box where car computers are, and inside the box will be this CanTCU controller, and this CanTCU controller will connect to the car's old gearbox connectors. This is what is left from the old gearbox computer. So I will be able to connect all three connectors and we won't be loose. All connected, everything in order. And here is my shifter. Shifter will be connected to these cables. I will need to push them from under the car to inside and well. And when I'll connect them to these wires. And that's it. How much would you be willing to pay for this kind of wiring set with controller? Okay, now it's time for the wires. I need to push out my gearbox wires from this poor thing. It should be doable. Oh, this is ground wire, so no risk in pushing these ones out. Oi! Success! Okay. Yay, shifter. Okay, it's a bit scary, but now it's time to check if my newly installed CanTCU will see gearbox in the car. Now it's time to put on ignition. I don't know. Okay, now I can select the gearbox. It's 8HP first generation, BMW E53. Type shifter. Shifter is Land Rover L322, but from Jaguar. Okay, wheel size. Don't know what was my point. Diff ratio. Tires a bit different, so numbers are huge. 345. Okay, we have some info. Okay, I just removed 12 volts from CanTCU and turned on back on, and now it can see transmission and transmission ECU, but no shifter. Well, it's something. Now I'll try to unlock gearbox with CanTCU flasher. Let's try. I hope it won't break it. Okay, flasher completed its task. Now gearbox should be unlocked. Okay. I need to power cycle the car too. Okay, great. I guess. Whoa. Nice, but Where is my shifter? Where is my shifter? I even got a newer beta version of a CanTCU software to test if the shifter works, but nothing helped. Firmware upgrade didn't help, shifter still not working. Not cool. I am still having issue with the shifter. Everything connects, gearbox computer connects, CanTCU connects, engine computer to CanTCU also connects, but shifter don't. Ask at the forum, and well, I have a bit worry about this shifter, because start of the part number just a bit different from the one it is described on the CanTCU website. I looked more into details about these shifters. Whoops. Well, this shifter is from Jaguar E-Pace and it is connected to ZF9 HP gearbox, so that's a bit different. Also, I managed to go a bit insane on the wires. I looked 3 times in every wire is it connected as it should be. Even connected different wires for CAN 3 just to double check. Maybe these my wires are a bit too thick, a bit not twisted enough, I don't know. Just to double check, I added extra wire from CAN 3 and didn't help. This shifter was not working, no lights, and the red light at the CanTCU software. So I ordered this shifter. This shifter is from Jaguar XE, from Jaguar XE sedan. What is good about this shifter, that part numbers are completely identical to the CanTCU website part number. Even here you can find that it's L49419MY. So, and it's controlling ZF8 HP gearbox in the Jaguar. So I hope that I have better chances with this shifter than the shifter from Jaguar E-Pace. Let's connect and hope for the best. Here's my shifter cable and how it looks now. I have checked all the wires 3 times at least, and well, everything's looking fine. So I really hope that with new shifter everything will work. Connector is identical to Jaguar E-Pace and Jaguar XE. Sargiai, laidai. Time to check. Yeah, boy. But parking light is on. Very good news. P is on. Whew, such a good news. All 3 boxes are green. So transmission, ECU and shifter are working, are connected, and my CanTCU ECU can control everything. That's such a good news. Whew. Let's try to start on the car. Drive! Atbulinis. Parktronikai net veikia. Kai gerai. Neutralus. Veikia. Parkingas. Veikia. Manual mode. Working. Nice. All the modes are working. Okay. I can get back fixing my wires. All the wires needs to be soldered and isolated properly, and I will be able to assemble the car back. Warming up gearbox to the 30 degrees. So 30 degrees is the lowest temperature for oil filament. So our engine is currently on and I'm waiting for gearbox to warm up to 30 degrees by Celsius, and I will be able to fill last drops of oil in the gearbox. Let's drive. Reverse. We are moving. First gear, second, third, okay, downshiftting, and first. Perfect. Okay, let's drive a bit faster. Oh my starry nice. This car is shifting gears faster than I can understand. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have all gears. Perfect. Okay, now just drive. My gearbox is working again. Such a good news. I would like it for it to downshift faster, but all good. Finally, time to install gearbox shifter holders and gearbox shifter in the car. This is not the models, this is the real stuff. I will be installing it once, I hope, and it will be permanent because it's quite stiff, sturdy. This is the bottom part and this is top part where the shifter will be screw on. Nice, looking good. Okay, had to pre-install the shifter on this holder because when it's inside I wouldn't be able to reach these two bolts. Perfect. I think I made a little mistake because I calculated what are now tire sizes on the Rover. So it's 2800 millimeters, which is 35-inch size, but I think I need to put in here what should be my tire sizes, what was made by the manufacturer. So I need to recalculate tire size. Okay, how to calibrate differential ratio so that gear shifts would be as smooth as possible. We will need to watch these two outputs. This is DS calc RPM and TCU output RPM. These can be watched in real-time menu, and these both lines need to stay one near another while driving 50 kilometers per hour and faster. Yep, this is not good. Need to adjust. And when we see that it's a bit incorrect, we need to adjust speed correction. So little by little. Okay, this looks good. It should have only 15 RPMs mistake, so it looks really good.
Updating speed correction.
Good news, differentials are more or less calibrated and calculated. So now gear shifts should be smoother, much smoother. Both lines are really near each other. This is what I'm looking for. Perfect.
And that's it. Differential ratio will be calculated perfectly. This car uses 4.10 and it's calculated 4.10, so perfect. Also, I highly recommend to flash this gearbox 8HP to OEM plus flash from CanTCU. After I flashed it, my car managed to show when sport mode is engaged, when manual gear selection is engaged, so really nice. So it's much nicer to use. Okay, I had a minor downshift problem. It wasn't wanting to downshift and keeping too big gears, so what I found is these corrections helped a lot. To correctly provide 12 volts for my CanTCU and gearbox, I had to install this time relay. This is a temporary one, it's from electronics. It's quite fragile, so I don't want to use it long. Now I'm waiting for much bigger and much stronger time relay. And why it's needed. I connected the 12 volts directly from the car. They are always on, and when I turn off ignition, this time relay still holds 12 volts for CanTCU and for gearbox for 60 seconds, just to make sure that all adaptations are installed correctly and no bad faults are getting from the gearbox. So that was the final correction, and later I just provided it to this wire, so it goes to the gearbox.
Gearbox swap is completed. ZF8 HP70x gearbox perfectly fits into Range Rover L322 TD6. Installation is a bit hard, but completely doable in a simple garage with simple tools. Just needs 2 persons to install it, and all other works are completely doable because CanTCU controller makes everything so much easier. No need to worry about any electronic parts, and adapter plates also fits perfectly. No need to extend any drive shafts. Gearbox mounts on the transfer case perfectly. Output shaft fits into the NV225 transfer case, and all you need is this large adapter plate so that the gearbox length is correct. Transfer case can bolt onto the gearbox, and that's it. It's doable, it's quite easily doable, just need patience and a lot of time. Regarding the cost of a swap, I think I'll make another video, so stay tuned. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it to someone who has really bad GM gearbox and needs to swap it into ZF8 HP. Thank you for watching and goodbye. See you next time.